What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here and we're live for I think this is the last Monday evening quarterback of the year because we usually recap these games of the regular season. It's about to be playoff time, which means we're probably not going to wait till Monday to tell you guys what went on with some of these games. But hey, listen, for a week 18 where you're going to have half these games that don't matter a bit, we thought maybe the Texans-Colts wouldn't matter a bit. That changed a little bit. But then you've got other games that matter a whole hell of a lot. Some games that were do or die, win or go home. And we had some interesting results to be sure. Beardo, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Excited to talk about this very exciting national championship game tonight, as well as the playoffs for this 2022 season. So I'm ready to go.
That's true. And, we were just talking before we got going. We do have the national championship tonight. TCU versus Georgia. Georgia is a big favorite right now. We actually just recently posted, probably about 2 or 3 hours ago, we posted the preview that Robert Barnes and Cricket did for sportspicks.locals.com. So if you guys want a quick recommendation on what they think, you can head over there as well. But when you do look at this game, I think Georgia's just got a massive advantage. I don't think TCU is going to roll over at all, especially not with the way that they played against Michigan. I wouldn't be surprised if TCU does cover this game, but I don't really think that it's going to be like, last second's going to decide. I think Georgia's going to handily control this most of the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fair judgment. I think Georgia is favored for a reason, and I think TCU, yeah, they're dogs and they got a lot of fight in them, and we saw that last weekend when they played Michigan. But there's just something about this TCU team and Max Duggan and just the leadership and just the heart that this team has. I can see it either, being Georgia by a blowout, or this could be a really close, good game. And I hope it is competitive and gritty. So I'm rooting for TCU, but I think in all likelihood that Georgia's probably going to win this game.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see TCU cover this. Now, the spread before halftime, it does look like it fell just under 14 points. So now it's sitting there at 13.5. That's a little bit tougher pick if you think Georgia's really going to run away with it. But yeah, TCU has been great against the spread this year. Georgia has not necessarily been. Georgia hasn't blown out some of these teams that you thought they would. We saw Georgia just, just escape from Ohio State. Needing that drive to put things away with Ohio State. But I really do think that Stetson Bennett, he's a quarterback with experience. He's like fucking 38 years old. So, I think that he'll be okay. And I think Georgia's going to repeat as national champions, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But the fact that game's at 7:30, I seem to remember usually a lot of these national championship games that they play on a Monday end up being later than that. And it makes sense that it would be a little later than that, because if you're going to do it at 7:30 Eastern, East Coast is only 4:30. People aren't even back or off of work yet. So a little bit strange. Although the 9 o'clock games are fucking just too late for most people on the East Coast. It really is. Yeah. If you got games going until 12:31 in the morning, that's not a recipe for success either. But yeah, so there you go. It's going to be exciting. That starts in about 30 minutes. So we'll try not to make this stream last too long so everybody doesn't have to pick one or the other. But when we do get into what happened this week, it's all about the playoffs, baby. Week 18, it's all about who's in, who's out, and where are they seated. Well, now we know that. The answer for all 7 teams in the NFC, all 7 teams in the AFC. And the last game of the year was one that did have big playoff implications, and that was Green Bay, Detroit. Now, Detroit knew before this game, because of the way that they scheduled things, that they were out of it. They weren't in it anymore. Seattle had already won, which meant that Detroit had no possibility of making the playoffs. But it's plenty of motivation to keep someone out of the playoffs, especially over on their home field. And that's what Detroit did last night. You could call them gutsy calls by Dan Campbell, but when your season's over, it's not really gutsy. You got nothing to lose. Yeah. But down the stretch, they had a really a nifty play on 2nd and long, and then they went for it on 4th and 1.5, 4th and 2 with Jared Goff, and they ended Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers playoff hopes.
Yeah, and especially a reason to play that hard, especially, they wanted a winning record, something that the Lions haven't had in a long time, and also it's your your division rival, and you do not want to see the Green Bay Packers, sneak their way into the playoffs, especially when Dan Campbell, I don't necessarily think he was coaching for his job, but definitely had something to prove and something to show for himself as far as going into next season, and wanted to show off what his guys have, because I don't think Jared Goff's job is safe necessarily next year. I think they probably still draft a quarterback to compete with Goff. But Jamal Williams has been like the heart and soul of this Lions offense. And I think he passed up Barry Sanders in single-season rushing touchdowns for the Lions. Like in a single season.
Passed or tied, yeah. It was 17 rushing touchdowns in the year, I think, which is crazy. So and you also got Swift back there. That backfield is rough, man.
Yep, and St. Brown is out there, and this team is the Lions. I mean, they've been high scoring all game. Like their offense hasn't been a slouch all season long. It's really been their defense, and that's surprising because Aiden Hutchinson has been just such a monster. But their defense has let them into close games where their offense was one of the most high scoring offenses in the league. So I'm happy for Dan Campbell. And is this the last we see of Aaron Rodgers in a Green Bay uniform? Is this the last we see of Aaron Rodgers, period? Does he retire, or does he, request a trade, and then the Packers very somberly give him that request?
Well, I don't know if you saw it or not. I was watching on...
I've seen a few things. I've seen a few clips.
I was watching when it happened, and Jamal Williams came up and asked for Aaron Rodgers' jersey.
I got to hold on to this one.
And he said, nah, I got to hold on to this one. So what the fuck does that mean? Does that mean you're done? Does that mean it's your last game in a Packer uniform? Like, what does that mean? I don't know if Aaron Rodgers knows what that means. I do know that in typical Aaron Rodgers fashion, he's going to fucking drag it out for as long as he fucking can. That's what I do know, having watched Aaron Rodgers for over a decade now. But also the way that he waited for Randall Cobb to walk off the field with him. Like, it definitely seemed like, he knew that it could well be his last, even if he hasn't made that decision yet. So I gotta hand it to Green Bay. I didn't think there was any way they were making it into the playoffs halfway through this season, and they went on a run. But this is even better to me. The fact that, a disaster to begin this season for the Green Bay Packers. Go on a run. They have all this hope. They think they're going to do it. Then it gets ripped away from the last second. Fuck the Green Bay Packers. My Chicago Bears are terrible. Justin Fields is overrated. And now they have the number 1 pick somehow because Houston had to go win a game against the Colts that meant nothing. May have cost Lovie Smith his job.
Do you think that win, the fact that the Texans did not get the number 1 overall pick, that's why Lovie Smith was fired? Similar kind of like a Doug Peterson situation in Philly for blowing that game a few years ago.
I don't know because with the what's his nuts, the fake SJW victim piece of shit,
Watson.
No, the coach for the Miami Dolphins, blackhead coach who claimed Brian Flores. So for Brian Flores, right, what did we see from him? He said that they were trying to pay me to lose and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I would be a little bit surprised if they had directed Lovie Smith to lose. Maybe there was the expectation there. Maybe they didn't like that. I mean, the team sucked, but what do you expect? You had a terrible team last year. You fired your coach after one season last year. You fired this one. I think this is now the 4th straight season that the Houston Texans will go into with a different head coach to start the season. There's no consistency there.
And Lovie Smith, he's been to the promised land. He took that Bears team against the Colts with that stellar defense with Urlacher and all of them.
Yep.
And I could have totally seen Lovie Smith being the guy that you want to rebuild and re kind of brand that franchise around after everything went down with Deshaun Watson. You bring in a guy like Lovie Smith who is loved by everybody. Like, I don't think anybody hates Lovie Smith except for maybe the Houston Texans for some reason. But I really thought that he could have been a guy that, because they weren't built to win this year regardless. You had David Mills back there as your quarterback. He doesn't necessarily scream NFL starter to me. So, yeah, obviously they want Bryce Young, but I still think they're in a position to get Bryce Young in the draft. Because with the Bears, I don't necessarily think the Bears with the number 1 overall pick go out and draft Bryce Young when you have Justin Fields. I think this is a good spot for the Bears to this is a good spot for the Bears to, shore up that defense, replace Briggs, or get the best offensive line, the best tackle in the draft at that number 1 spot. But who knows? I mean, the Bears. I mean, the Bears better than I do as far as their front office and what they're thinking. I just don't see them going and drafting Bryce Young and, opening up that can of worms when you already have Justin Fields. So even though the Texans have the 2nd pick, they're still in a good spot to get Bryce Young if they want.
Yeah, so you got some options. You can trade away and get a lot of picks. I think that's probably going to be the way the Bears end up going. I think that's probably what they're going to do. And I think it might be a smart idea. I don't think that Justin Fields is the future. I've been saying it for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
I don't care how many fucking 70-yard runs up the middle that he has. I don't fucking care about that. I don't think that Justin Fields long-term is going to be a success as a quarterback in the NFL. So now the first number 1 pick that the Bears have had since 1947 has fallen into their laps. And what are you going to do with it? You're probably not going to take a quarterback. Because you have Justin Fields, because you feel trapped with that Justin Fields pick. Fuck, man.
And they traded up to get him. So now what? Do you trade out of that 1 spot now that you actually have that 1 spot? And you can get, well, here's the thing. Do you go and get C.J. Stroud, another Ohio State quarterback, and Ohio State quarterbacks that don't necessarily pan out that well in the NFL?
Have Justin Fields mentor C.J. Stroud? I don't know. I think that they will eventually trade out of the pick. That's what I think. I don't know who with. Maybe they'll be able to fleece somebody like we got fleeced by trading up to get Mitch Trubisky. But yeah, you look at the amount of draft picks that we've given away over the years, whether it was in the Khalil Mack deal, whether it was in the Mitch Trubisky deal. There's a lot of picks the Bears are giving away, so maybe they want to recoup some of those. But they have also got a lot of salary cap. I believe the Bears are projected to have like $110 million in free salary cap space, which is the tops in the league. So I don't know what their plan is. I think people are going to say, hey, build around your guy, and that's probably what they'll do.
But anyways, we got a little off track because we started this with talking about Rodgers and the Lions.
That's true.
Did you see the press conference?
I didn't get to witness that. I didn't see that. No.
So one of the reporters asked him and said, what are you going to miss the most? And he did go on like a little spiel of like, well, I'm going to miss your questions and things you ask. I'm going to miss these kind of questions from these people. And then he goes, I'm going to miss walking out of the tunnel with my brothers. I'm going to miss Bakhtiari. I'm going to miss it's like, it really did sound like he wasn't going to play for the Packers next year. And when he says, I'm going to hold on to this one, and then he goes, this is what I'm going to miss, this is what I'm going to miss. He didn't say anything specifically, things that he's going to miss about the NFL. It was things that he's going to miss about the organization and who the reporters are for him in Green Bay, the local guys. So it's weird. I do think Rodgers is going to drag it out, but it is kind of telling just his body language and his choice of words last night after that loss.
Listen, man. Aaron Rodgers loves the attention. He loves it. He always has. He always will. So we'll see. We'll see how long it takes him to officially make a decision. But on to everything else, right? That was the last game of the year. Let's look at what the playoffs are setting up at. Let's look at these playoffs for the NFC right now. This is the NFC wildcard weekend. I will be going to this game. Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My man Chris Coran is in chat.
That's awesome.
I'm going to go to this game and watch Tom Brady play Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. The Cowboys look like fucking shit yesterday. They looked like shit against the Redskins. The Commanders had their third string quarterback in, and man, they just look like hot garbage. What a bad way to come into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this game could get ugly. Even though this was Brady's first year ever in his career where he finished off the season with a losing record. But lucky for him, he plays in the NFC South, and the NFC South is dog shit. And they won the South, and they're going to host the Cowboys. And I think this game could get carried away in favor of Tampa. I think this, by 2 scores. I think Dallas is just going to fall flat. I think Dak continues his interception streak, and I think Dallas is going to be lost out there.
Yeah, I am. Listen, I fucking hope. I hope that I get to see Tom Brady whoop that Cowboy ass. That's what I want to see.
Hell yeah.
I think that it's going to be a good game. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are a better team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been this year, but it's Tom Brady. It's home. It's the fucking playoffs, and it's the Cowboys. So if
Yeah.
you're making me pick, I'm going to pick Tampa.
Yep.
I'm going to pick Tampa. Um, then your New York Giants heading up to the Minnesota Vikings. Now you do get to play at 4:30 Eastern, so that'll make Giants fans happy that they don't have
Yeah.
to play Kirk Cousins on Sunday at 1. But how
Yeah.
are you feeling about this game going up to Minnesota?
I would rather go to Minnesota than go to San Fran. So I'm happy that Minnesota is the 3 seed and not San Fran, because just 3 weeks ago we nearly beat the Vikings. We nearly beat them. They kicked like a 58-yard field goal with time expired, and they barely beat us by 3 points. So I'm feeling really good about this game. I think the Giants have a lot of momentum, and Daniel Jones is kind of playing out of his mind these past few weeks, and also Saquon. I think this team has a lot of things to prove. Their defense is finally healthy and all back together. Landon Collins is finally back in that starting role. Dexter Lawrence he's a wrecking ball back there. Did you see him just completely pancake Quentin Nelson and sack Sam Ehlinger at the same time? He sacked both of them at the same time, and that's Quentin Nelson, one of the best guards in the NFL, just pancaked him. So I think the Giants over Minnesota. I really do.
I'm
And
picking
that's not a homer
Minnesota in
pick.
this game. I'm picking Minnesota in this game. It's not a homer pick either. I just think that the Vikings are the better team. They have problems playing the first half like they should the second half. But I'm going to take Minnesota. They've just had too good of a season for them to lose at home, I think, to the Giants. Now, is this how good of a game do you think this is going to be? Geno Smith, the Seattle Seahawks, they started off the season really hot, kind of fell back in the middle, but came back, get into the playoffs. But they do have to play Brock Purdy, Big Cock Brock, and the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to go Niners just because the Niners are like more well-rounded. They're more put together. They got a great defense. I like George Kittle. And I think they should be getting Debo back. They should be getting Debo back for this game.
Didn't Debo play last week or on Sunday?
Maybe he did, but he's gonna be more 100% for sure.
Yeah. I think they were just kind of easing him back in.
Yeah. Christian
I've-
McCaffrey. I'm going Niners all day for that one.
Yeah, I think 100% that I just don't think that there's much chance of the Seahawks beating the 49ers at home. The Niners are just such a complete team. Other than quarterback, that's their question mark right now is quarterback. But Brock Purdy hasn't really given people too many reasons to doubt. He just hasn't been there before. He's Mr. Irrelevant. We didn't know what to expect from this guy, and as of right now, he's played well. So you can't really say anything else about him. He had 3 touchdowns and he only had to pass the ball 20 times, but did what he needed to do. Debo did get a couple reps in. He had a couple catches and a carry. So Debo should be ready to go at full speed.
Yeah.
And man, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to NFC playoffs. Let's get to a couple of these super chats before we get to AFC playoffs. Jack Hudson for 2 with a corgi. Thank you, Jack. Eric K with 10 gift memberships. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eric, for those. Mike Hill for 5. I guess congratulations are in order for you, Ryan, with the Chicago Bears getting the first pick of the draft. They are. I mean, if your season's going to be shit, it might as well be really shit. All right. I don't want any 4-13. I don't want any 5-12. The Denver Broncos, they may feel a little bit better that they gave Seattle a slightly worse draft pick. So there you go. I guess they've got that to feel happy about. But thank you, Mike. Rivian Creek for 5. Super proud of my Lions. They just took too long this year to get good. Hey, man, I think a winning season for the Lions after everything they've been through the past couple years, Stafford leaving, all that stuff, Jared Goff playing the way he is, I think that they have to be really happy with this year, despite not making the playoffs. Like, I think that Dan Campbell and those guys, the energy they have, the future that they could potentially have, I think they have to feel really fucking good about it. So I think overall it's a big win this year for the Lions, despite them not being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Eric K for 5. The Bears will probably pick someone from Appalachian State. Yeah, they'll probably do something fucking retarded, knowing my Bears. But yeah, I think the Bears will likely trade out of that.
That sounds likely. Sure up some more picks.
I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
If you can get somebody to give you a couple first rounders, why the fuck not?
You think Houston is so? Let's say hypothetically someone does trade up with the Bears to probably snag Bryce Young. You think Houston is just as comfortable picking C.J. Stroud as they would be with Bryce Young, or do you think if somebody trades up, drafts Bryce Young, do you think the Texans also trade out of that 2 spot to somebody who wants C.J. Stroud?
I'll be real. I don't know if it's a lock that Bryce Young's going number 1. I think that somebody could fall in love with Stroud. I don't think that's a guarantee right now. I think it kind of depends on who's picking and what they're looking for. But right now, when we look at the draft order right here, take a look. So let's zoom in on this thing a little bit. You've got Chicago, Houston, Arizona, Indianapolis, Denver. Well, no, Seattle.
Yeah,
Seattle gets the number 5 pick. Yeah. Detroit gets the number 6 pick. That's awesome for Detroit, man. Look at that.
Hell yeah.
So, when you look at these teams, who would be willing to make a move up? If you want to make a move up from here, it's going to cost a lot. If you want to make a move up from here, it ain't going to cost as much.
I can see Tennessee trading up.
I could see Indianapolis. Who's the Indianapolis quarterback next year?
Yeah, that's a good point because they ain't going with Ellinger, and I think Matt Ryan could possibly see Matt Ryan retire. I think Matt Ryan's done.
Yeah, we'll see. We're way far away from the draft.
Yeah,
Combine hasn't happened. There's a lot of things that need to fall in place before we know who these quarterbacks are going to be, who's going to go number 1, and even then, you get a fucking Baker Mayfield. No one thought Baker was. Not, I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of people didn't expect Baker was going to go number 1 a week before that draft, and then all of a sudden things happen. So it's a little too early to tell. I do think there will be a lot of people that want to move up to that spot. We'll put it that way. Houston definitely is going to take one of those quarterbacks. Chicago has the ability to say, hey, give us all you fucking got. Give us all you got.
Yeah, they're going to want a haul.
Mm-hmm. As they should. Bert for $2. Some Giants players are flying to Minnesota from Miami.
Good one.
Is it? Oh, well, I mean, are you sure it's not true?
It's a joke about the boat
I heard
picture.
some people out on the boat. So.
Oh yeah, good one.
All right.
I don't think Dave's wouldn't put up with that.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes for the Giants. It would be a great story for Daniel Jones and the Giants to beat the old Kirk Cousins. But, hey, listen, I'm rooting for Kirk Cousins too. He's had a rough career. Doesn't get no respect. Doesn't get no respect.
Made a lot of money.
Oh, he's made a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
But let's look at this. AFC playoff picture. The Miami Dolphins are playing the Buffalo Bills. Now, Miami Dolphins sneak in with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard shit about Tua yet.
Right.
I mean, come on. I think you gotta fucking play him, man.
Tua plays. 100% Tua plays.
The problem is there's so much emphasis now on player safety, especially after all the Damar Hamlin stuff. Who got released from the hospital today? It's going back to Buffalo. But now the emphasis on player safety is going to be just that much more increased. God, there's going to be a lot of pressure for them not to play him. But come on, man, you gotta play Tua in the fucking playoffs against the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why they specifically didn't play him the past 2 weeks, well, obviously he did get another concussion, but I think, if they really wanted to, they probably could have even played him yesterday. But playing it safe because they know that they were probably going to make the playoffs, and they were saving him for this game specifically. I think Tua plays no matter what. Now, does he get knocked out of that game maybe again? We'll see. I hope not. But I think Tua plays regardless. But I'm going Bills all day.
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well. Bills they kept the Patriots out of the playoffs, by winning. I think a lot of people expected emotions to be really fucking high. They certainly were. That first fucking run back for kickoff, was insane. But then reality started to set in a little bit. I think that the Patriots definitely they came back. They fought back against that fucking tenacious Buffalo crowd. They tied the game up. They were in a good position. And then, Buffalo Bills, got it out of their reach at the end of the game. But hey, this Buffalo team is obviously really fucking good. They've gone through some adversity in the past week. There's no doubt about that. And that crowd is going to be raucous as hell. I give the Buffalo Bills the edge regardless of whoever plays. But certainly it's a different Miami team if Tua does play out there. But I think the Buffalo Bills are going to have the edge.
Did you see all the weird stuff surrounding that run back for the Bills yesterday? Like all of the weird coincidences with 3 in that game yesterday?
I didn't. No, I didn't see the fucking. I didn't see the Freemason 33rd degree, stuff that was out there. What was it? Let me know.
So it was they hadn't had a kickoff return for a touchdown in 3 years, 3 months and 3 weeks or something like that. It'd been 3 years, 3 months and 3 weeks since they've had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and Josh Allen threw 3 touchdowns yesterday.
There you go. There's always a stat. There's always a fucking stat.
There's always something weird like that. But it's just weird, dude. So weird when stuff like that happens. 100%. Josh Allen was getting real emotional after the game yesterday. He goes, man, dude. He goes, if you're not a believer, he goes, after that game, dude, he goes, that game made some believers out of some non-believers yesterday about just how weird that stat was with the 3s.
Well, and I love seeing obviously fucking rough situation with DeMar Hamlin, but I loved seeing NFL players get on their fucking knees for God instead of social justice. That's what I really liked seeing over this past week. Across the board, NFL players getting on their knees and praying together, like this thing like that. I think that was great.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it takes something like what we saw to make that happen, but I much prefer seeing that on the football field rather than these fucks doing it for, people like Jacob Blake or whoever, these fucking just career criminal thugs. So that was a damn positive that we got. Now a rematch of the game we just saw, Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals. Is he gonna fucking play? Is Lamar Jackson actually gonna play? We haven't seen Lamar Jackson in fucking 6 weeks. The man who wants to get paid. Lamar, hey, if you're healthy, you better come out there and fucking play for your team if you want to get paid. Either way, I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals with the way they're playing. They played great. It could easily have been a letdown game for them with everything they went through, with the way they got fucking screwed over by the NFL and by Buffalo in a way. With everything that happened, the Cincinnati Bengals came out there. They took care of business to make sure that they got this home field advantage.
Yeah, I got Cincy going back to the Super Bowl, so I got Cincy all the way. Cincy all the way, for sure. I just think they're too hot right now. They got too many good weapons with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. Just they're playing. They're clicking on all cylinders, so I got Cincy in that one for sure.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to be – I think you're going to handle it. Doesn't matter who plays quarterback, especially because Lamar hasn't played in fucking forever.
Yeah.
And now you got the Los Angeles Chargers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now,
I want to see what the spread is on this game.
We can check real quick. Let's see. Let's look at the NFL schedule.
I'd be surprised if the Chargers aren't favored. But then again, Jacksonville's at home.
Let's see if we can go to this game. Let's play right here. I don't see the spread on ESPN. Let's check. We can pretty easily check that out. NFL playoff spreads. I mean, if I were handicapping this, I would put the spread at Chargers -1, something like that. Well, let's see. NFL Super Wild Card weekend lines. 49ers are fucking 10-point favorites. All right, Chargers -1.5.
There you go.
So
that's on.
That's right about where I would put it as well. Because I think the Chargers are a significantly better team. So I would give them a 5, 6, 4-point spread, somewhere around there. But it being at Jags is obviously different. So there you go. Chargers 1.5 right now by a lot of sports books.
This one is going to be my upset. I think the Jags. I'm going to go Jags on this one. I don't know why. It's just a weird feeling I have. I'm going to go Jags in an upset. Even though they're at home, they're going to upset the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers, my man Justin Herbert. I think this team is playing the right way down the stretch. I think they really got everything together. They got healthy. Austin Eckler's a fucking monster. You got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, both should be healthy, hopefully, going into this. And it's a different team when all those guys are clicking. And I got my man Justin Herbert. They don't care about fucking home field advantage. Nobody gives a fuck about them in LA. They might as well be playing on the road every fucking game anyway. So why don't you go down there to Jacksonville? Now, down there in Duval with Doug Peterson, obviously Urban Meyer is potentially one of the worst coaches you've ever seen in NFL history with what he was able to do with this team versus what Doug Peterson's done with this team. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, despite their good run, the good turnaround they had this year, I think it comes to an end with the Chargers going there.
I think the Jags definitely have the coaching experience over the Chargers. I like Doug Peterson over Brandon Staley. So Staley could get simply outcoached by Doug Peterson. Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. And Staley has a tendency to, maybe make some decisions some people wouldn't. But so does Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's a little bit of a gambler. So we'll see. I did see someone say Mike Williams injured. He did get hurt. He got basically a back contusion yesterday. I think he'll play. I personally think that he's going to tough it out and play. But I guess we'll see. I think that Mike Williams will play through that. And that's all. And now the two bye weeks are the two teams on a bye, the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Eagles looked fine. They looked fine in their win. They fucking got it done. What do you think?
The Eagles played their hearts out with all of their starters back, with Jalen Hurts back, and they could barely squeak by and beat the Giants' second and third team yesterday. That's why I'm feeling a little overconfident about the Giants going into Minnesota. And the Eagles can barely beat the Giants' backups yesterday. The Giants didn't have any of it. Was Davis Webb, who came off of our scout team, and Kenny Golladay, who can't catch a ball to save his fucking career. And Kenny Golladay was scored his first touchdown yesterday for the Giants in his Giants career. Davis Webb was looking like a beast out there, looking like a star-studded veteran against the Eagles. It was weird. It was weird to see the Eagles struggle against the Giants' second team. So that's where I'm feeling about that.
The Giants didn't even score in the first half. The Giants didn't fucking score a touchdown until it was halfway
close
through the fourth quarter, right?
I'm not sure which one came first. Can't remember if the Golladay catch or Davis Webb had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah,
but that rushing touchdown was awesome.
That was all at the end, though. The Eagles dominated most of that game, at least tempo-wise and everything. I know they blanked them in the first half, so
yeah.
But yeah, it's not like they fucking beat them 40-10 or anything like that.
Right.
But certainly they seemed in control of that game most of the time. It'll be interesting to see what happens now. They get another week to prepare and get Jalen Hurts that much healthier, and we'll see what happens. But the Chiefs, listen. The Chiefs end up with the number one seed. The AFC is crazy because I think all those teams in the top three are really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals. I think all of them can beat each other on any given Sunday, except I don't know if Patrick Mahomes can beat Joe Burrow yet. That hasn't been seen yet. But I think any mix of those that we get in the AFC Championship is going to be fucking awesome. So can't wait for that. But in the NFC, I don't know, man. When I look at the NFC, I don't have a hard time thinking people will beat San Francisco, but San Francisco to me is just such a good fucking team, just top to bottom. That defense is fucking tenacious. CMC, Kittle, Debo, those weapons on offense. The question is Brock Purdy, and how does he handle this pressure? We've never seen it before. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I got San Fran going to the NFC Championship game, and I have AFC Championship. I think it's going to be Chiefs, Bengals. We're going to have a repeat, Chiefs, Bengals, AFC, and then NFC, San Fran. I'd love it if the Giants went, man. I'd love it if the Giants went, but I think that San Fran for sure is going to punch their ticket to the NFC Championship.
I think I picked the Chiefs and I think I picked Chiefs. Niners. I think that's what I picked the other day.
For the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think that's what I picked when we got asked and we got put on the spot. So we'll fucking see. I don't know. Mike Hill for $10. Silver lining for the Steelers. At least Mike Tomlin, still doesn't have a losing record, but would have made the playoffs if it wasn't for those pesky J-Fins. Yes, the Dolphins snuck in. They snuck in, no doubt. Bert for $2. Did Stetson Bennett legally drive a rental car to SoFi? Well, he is over 25 years old, so he probably would have been able to. How old is Stetson Bennett?
I think he's 25 or 26. He's older than Joe Burrow.
25.
Yeah. He's older than a lot of those guys. He's older than...
Joe Burrow's 26. Joe Burrow's 26.
So who's he older than? Maybe is he older than Herbert? I saw that he was older than some of these starting quarterbacks.
I'm sure Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Maybe Justin Fields, guys like that for sure.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is probably 25. 23. Justin Fields is 23.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy to think about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a great finale, great way to end the season. Not as many games were like, hey, you have to win this or you're not in the playoffs, like that kind of implications. A lot of it was for a little bit seeding stuff, maybe stuff that wasn't super entertaining, but still good way to finish out the regular season. And looking forward to the playoffs for sure. I can't wait to go to the Tampa game with our man Chris Kareem. We got to figure that out. So that's going to be on Monday. Monday Night Football. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman. I'm going to be looking
Monday night for a playoff game.
They got to dominate as many nights as they can. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
That's crazy.
I think
cool.
They're going to do 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, and a game Monday. I think that's what they're doing.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
I'm excited, man. This is the most exciting time of the year for football fans. So.
Yeah. And now, dogs or frogs. Hey, we made our picks. I think we're both going dogs. I said don't be surprised if TCU sneaks in with a cover. I hope it's a good game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it's going to stay competitive, but I think that Georgia is going to have it handled. I don't think it's going to be a last-second kind of thing. I think that Georgia is going to stay in control. I think they're going to stay, 7 to 10 points up most of the night, in that type of arena. But we'll see. That game should be getting going very, very shortly if it hasn't kicked off yet. I'm sure they're doing opening shit. But, college football playoff tonight. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will talk to you next time. Peace.